notifying John Deere right now. If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything that you want to sell into the United States, so that if I win, John Deere is going to be paying a 200%.
John Deere says it's moving some of its production to Mexico, according to an email that was sent to Waterloo employees.
We all feel it over here. Everybody on the wage side feels the theft. They feel our money going away.
What would you do if the tractor you depend on suddenly cost $40,000 more overnight? What if every planting season became a financial gamble, where one wrong move could cost you your farm? That nightmare is no longer theoretical. It's unfolding now. Just days after John Deere confirmed plans to shift part of its production to Mexico, Donald Trump fired back, threatening a 200% tariff on every piece of Deere equipment made abroad. The impact was instant. In towns like Waterloo, Iowa, and Salina, Kansas, farmers rushed to dealers only to be told prices were already rising. Supply chains froze, orders were canceled, and entire communities built around Deere's presence began to feel the tremor. What began as a corporate logistics decision has triggered a nationwide shockwave, pushing machinery prices beyond reach, choking small-town economies, and throwing thousands of livelihoods into uncertainty. But why did Deere move in the first place? And why are everyday Americans, workers, farmers, families, the ones left to pay for this political standoff? It started with a threat, but now the numbers are real. Experts warn that a 200% tariff on foreign-made John Deere equipment could drive up prices on tractors and farm machinery by 15 to 22% in 2025 alone. For most farmers, that's not a surcharge, that's a wall. In the agricultural heartlands of Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas, that price spike translates into an extra $30,000 to $50,000 just to replace a single piece of aging equipment. For small and mid-sized farms already crushed by debt and unpredictable crop prices, the result is paralysis. According to the American Farm Bureau Federation, over 38% of farmers under 45 say they would delay purchasing new machinery for at least a year if prices climb another 20%. That's not just a pause in investment. It's a break in the chain where one stalled purchase leads to empty showrooms, shuttered dealerships, and fewer jobs in towns that survive on seasonal sales. And the longer farmers wait, the deeper the cracks spread from one field to the next, from one town to the entire rural economy. The shockwave didn't stop in the cornfields. It spread to kitchen tables, school lunchrooms, grocery checkout lines, quietly but relentlessly. As the 200% tariff threat rippled across the economy, a broader set of trade measures targeting Mexico and other key partners began to take hold. By mid-2025, analysts warned that Trump's tariff expansion was pushing national inflation higher by 1.7%, a spike that translates to an additional $1,900 in annual expenses for the average American household. That's not a luxury tax. That's rent. That's a month's worth of food. That's the breaking point for families already living paycheck to paycheck. Behind every percentage point is a real decision: skip the vacation. Delay the car repair. Tell your child they can't join the soccer team this season. And for millions, it's not just choices, it's sacrifices. And the damage doesn't end there. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, the 2025 tariff wave has already wiped out an estimated 538,000 jobs across the country. Manufacturing hubs went quiet. Agricultural equipment suppliers cut shifts. And entire counties built on industrial labor found themselves hollowed out again. The irony: many of these communities once championed the idea of America first. Now they're wondering why they've been left last in line again, paying for decisions made far above their heads. When tariffs were announced, they sounded like punishment for foreign outsourcing. But in reality, it's American workers, American farmers, and American families who are footing the bill. John Deere's decision to shift part of its production to Mexico may have made financial sense on paper. But on the ground in places like Waterloo, Iowa, it triggered a cascade no spreadsheet could capture. Waterloo is home to one of Deere's largest manufacturing plants, a longtime economic anchor in the region. But between May and July 2025, as uncertainty spread and overtime hours disappeared, small businesses began to bleed. Motel owners, auto repair shops, diners, and supply depots reported revenue drops between 12% and 17% in just 3 months. When workers stop picking up extra shifts, they stop buying pizza. They don't replace their tires. They don't book motel rooms. They just hunker down, said one local business owner. It's not just a factory closing that hurts, it's the absence of motion, the stillness that follows. Delivery trucks slow, suppliers pull back, local taxes shrink, and entire communities begin to feel like they're slowly being erased. What began as an operational shift in a boardroom quickly turned into a livelihood crisis for thousands of families. Because in towns like Waterloo, the factory isn't just where people work, it's where they find identity, dignity, and hope. And now all three are slipping away. But was this really about betrayal, or is there a deeper reason behind Deere's decision to move? So was this about turning away from America? Not quite. John Deere hasn't walked out on the United States. In fact, the company is investing over $20 billion into automation and advanced manufacturing right here in Illinois, Iowa, and Georgia. New facilities are rising. Technology is being upgraded. But here's the catch. These new production lines need 40 to 60% fewer workers. The real shift isn't geographic, it's technological. Like many global manufacturers, Deere is racing toward a future where machines do more and people do less. According to Oxford Economics, as many as 20 million manufacturing jobs worldwide could disappear by 2030 because of robotics and automation. This isn't about loyalty, it's about efficiency, not betrayal, but a brutal economic calculus. So, while the headlines screamed about outsourcing, the deeper truth is harder to confront. Even when the jobs stay in America, the workers don't always come with them. Just as American farmers began bracing for higher equipment costs, another blow arrived from overseas. In retaliation to U.S. tariffs, Brazil and China imposed new barriers on American agricultural exports. The result, U.S. soybean shipments plunged by 23% in the first half of 2025, cutting deep into one of the country's most vital export markets. So now farmers face a cruel equation. Pay tens of thousands more for a new tractor and earn less for every bushel of soybeans they sell. In Missouri, one farmer put it bluntly, "If I have to pay $40,000 more for a machine and get less for my crop, I might as well quit." And he's not alone. From the Midwest to the Gulf Coast, growers are delaying purchases, downsizing operations, gains, or abandoning fields entirely. For those already walking a financial tightrope, the combination of higher input costs and weaker commodity prices is proving unsustainable. This isn't just a seasonal squeeze. It's a structural breakdown where the policy pressure at the top is collapsing the entire financial logic of farming from below. And if the numbers no longer add up, what happens to the system built on those numbers? For all the political noise about bringing jobs back, the numbers tell a harsher story. According to the Peterson Institute for International Economics, past tariffs have increased U.S. manufacturing employment by just 0.1%, a microscopic gain. But the economic cost nearly 4 times higher than the benefits they delivered. That's not job creation, that's economic self-harm. Tariffs were sold as a shield for American workers, but in reality, they've often functioned more like a tax on American consumers and farmers, driving up prices, distorting markets, and weakening the very industries they're meant to protect. As one analyst put it, we're sacrificing consumers and farmers to preserve a fantasy of old-school manufacturing that no longer exists. And as this policy pattern repeats, one thing becomes clear. It's not just the math that's broken, it's the story we keep telling ourselves. So, if the equation doesn't work anymore, why are we still paying the price? John Deere didn't move production overseas because of political pressure. It moved because of hard math. Rising labor costs, supply chain delays, and the need for more flexible logistics pushed the company toward Mexico, a decision grounded in economics, not ideology. Trump's 200% tariff threat came only after that decision was made. But instead of reversing the shift, the tariff made everything more expensive, especially for the very people it claimed to protect. Farmers suddenly faced a 15–22% jump in machinery costs. Dealers scrambled. Consumers felt the ripple in their wallets. Deere left because the numbers no longer worked. But it's American families who are paying the price because policy arrived too late and hit in all the wrong places. This wasn't a betrayal by business, it was a breakdown in leadership. John Deere didn't choose Mexico out of betrayal. It chose it because the math pointed south and the system at home was too slow to adapt. But if America keeps answering long-term industrial challenges with short-term political reactions, we're not protecting workers. We're trapping them in a cycle of uncertainty. Without a real strategy to invest in human capital, rebuild industrial infrastructure, and embrace innovation, we're stuck in the same loop. Tariffs go up, prices follow, trust disappears, and every time that loop repeats, more people fall through the cracks. Not because they failed, but because the system never gave them a real chance to win. So maybe the real question isn't whether we're protecting jobs. Maybe it's this: who gets to belong in the future we're building and who gets left behind? If that question unsettles you, good. Because this isn't just a policy fight, it's a national reckoning. And it's time we all paid attention before the next factory closes, before the next farm goes silent. What do you think? Let us know below. And if this story matters to you, share it. Someone else needs to hear it too.